There's a glass ceiling everywhere. You know, if you can make a company money, if you can make a drug trafficking organization money, there's a place for you. If you're intelligent, they don't care. We have all kinds of women that are running big companies and in the world of crime. It's the same sort of principle. Many of them will never rise too high, just like in legitimate society. Then you'll have the queen pins.
Queen pins are rare. They're not as prevalent as the male version kingpins. However, you do have exceptions. There was blind ambition that drove these three women.
Rosalie Garcia, Sandra Beltran, and Beatriz Henao. Lethal beauties from different corners of the world who dealt in destruction. Heroin, cocaine, and amphetamines. There is the Queen of the Pacific, a cocaine heiress. The Queen of Amphetamines, a Colombian working abroad. And Shorty, a heroin queenpin from the Bronx. And each would be hunted down like the kingpins who came before them.
This was a case that was sort of like a history lesson of drug use in the Bronx.
Heroin may be cheaper out here on the street, but the high cost of heroin-related crimes continues to go up.
This was a ruthless gang. Hitmen with body armor. They had drug pitchers going out on the street selling, you know, $10 stamps of heroin. For 10, 15 years, it was a very productive crew.
The mastermind was a pint-sized gangster known as Shorty. Her name was Rosalie Garcia, and she ran these streets for more than a decade. She solidified her reputation in 1994, ending a 3-month gang war by ordering the killing of 2 of her rivals. It happened in a shootout in the lobby of her own building.
Prosecutors say she killed off her rivals because it was so lucrative.
With the profits, she and her son opened legitimate businesses in the neighborhood. A dry cleaners and a pool hall to help launder the drug money. Authorities also say they hired a Santeria priestess to cast a spell in order to reveal their enemies. By the late 1990s, members of her crew were snared by police. They began turning on the boss. Charged as the ringleader in a far-reaching racketeering case involving heroin distribution and 4 counts of murder, Rosalie Garcia, barely 5 feet tall, appeared pouty-faced and apologetic to the judge.
She claimed that drug addiction was the motivating factor in all this. The judge pretty much rejected that, said that drug addiction is not a defense to murder.
Guilty on all counts. A lethal beauty who ran her neighborhood like a mob boss, Shorty is now serving a life sentence. While Rosalie Garcia never left her fiefdom near Fort Apache, the Bronx, 2 other notorious female gangsters plied their trade on the global stage. A lethal beauty, nicknamed La Negra for her brazen looks and brunette hair, came out of Colombia in the late 1990s. Her name was Beatriz Henao. Indicted for drug trafficking and money laundering, she would rise to become a top lieutenant for the Comba cartel, a main supplier of Colombian cocaine into Mexico.
She was the leader of a cell of Colombians living in the Netherlands that was trying to ship ecstasy, a large amount of ecstasy, to the United States.
Authorities believe it was a 3-way deal.
They were going to ship cocaine from Colombia to the Netherlands, and then ecstasy from the Netherlands to New York City, and then obviously the proceeds always go back to the owners in Colombia.
Beatriz brokered the deal, the biggest ecstasy shipment U.S. authorities had ever heard of, including a test run. She wanted to move nearly 350,000 pills. And now spent 8 years flaunting her position to authorities.
It isn't the greatest thing if you keep too high a profile and you're wanted as a criminal. She refused to stay in anything less than a 5-star hotel whenever she traveled.
I have no idea how she lasted as long as she did without getting arrested.
September 1st, 2009, she was taken down like a kingpin. More than 30 federal agents, armed to the teeth, surrounded her in front of a pizzeria in Pereira, Colombia. She was staying at a 5-star hotel 2 doors down. There is another lethal beauty that ran in La Negra's circles. While the queen of amphetamines was extradited to the United States in 2011, just 1 year later, the U.S. brought back the Queen of the Pacific to stand trial. Indicted and charged with trying to import 100 kilograms of cocaine with a street value of $20 million. She herself told a judge in open court that she preferred to be called the Queen of the Pacific.
So she's called Queen of the Pacific in part because she's the one who arranges for these massive shipments of cocaine up to the north coast of Mexico and the west coast, and then distributes them into the U.S.
She immediately started taking action against some of the authorities. She did have individuals killed that she felt were informants. So she did engage in violence.
She became a target for authorities and the lawless elements within her own country. In December 2001, a fishing boat seized in Manzanillo, Mexico, netted a record bust. More than 9,000 kilograms of Colombian cocaine was set ablaze.
At first, she sort of was able to hide behind her status as a woman in what has traditionally been an organization run by men. She was the girlfriend. Nobody would suspect that a woman was in charge of the organization.
September 2007, the Queen of the Pacific is arrested by 30 federal agents in Mexico City.
They put her into a jail, and they charge her in Mexico with money laundering, weapons possession, drug trafficking, and the 9 tons on the boat. And they have a trial.
You're going to read the charges to her, and she goes, I already know them. I already know them. Like she was, in for a traffic violation.
Her name is Sandra Beltran. She's accused of trying to smuggle cocaine to the United States and is facing extradition.
She went to prison, and it became a spectacle in Mexico, like a soap opera or a reality show, because you had this beautiful woman in jail. She complained about the food. She complained about everything.
She wears high heels. She's still allowed to wear her own shoes because she's paid somebody. But my favorite is that in 2011, the Daily Mail in England said that she's getting Botox in prison.
As a matter of fact, the warden of that particular penitentiary was dismissed as a result of that.
She was getting Botox so she could look good if she was extradited back to Miami.
In August of 2012, the Queen of the Pacific was put on a plane for South Florida. She now faces charges for conspiring to import and distribute cocaine into the United States. But her story may soon be replayed. In Brazil alone, there are more than 10,000 women behind bars in connection with the drug trade.
For the most part, women are used as couriers, but these 3 women knew how to manipulate their counterparts. They knew how to deal with rival gangs, and they knew how to exploit men to do their bidding.
It's an ongoing battle that takes place. And right now, the next Sandra Beltran's learning the tricks of the trade, learning how this operates, what the next drug of choice is going to be, and 10, 15 years from now, they'll be talking about somebody else.